Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime. We are coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomeme in Accra. We are live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Carlos Kaloni.
And I am Faustina Safo. Tonight, government abolishes e-levy, betting tax, emissions levy, among a raft of tax cut measures in the 2025 budget, as it insists current tax review measures will save Ghanaians over 3.9 billion cedis.
Abolish the 10% withholding tax on betting.
Also, government announces allocations amounting to 50 billion cedis, including over $279 million to the yet-to-be-established Ghana Cocoa Board.
We have allocated 13.85 billion Ghana cedis for big push projects.
But the minority isn't happy with the presentation. They call the budget a speech full of complaints, but no real solutions to Ghana's economic woes.
Been presented with part 2 of the lamentation series.
And major tax cut and widening revenue gap. What does it all mean for you?
They have removed. For that, I'm 100% with them.
Those 10% being removed from the tax that you win has been costing us a lot.
We have all the analysis here on Joy News Prime. Also tonight, Joy News secures exclusive details of how President John Dramani Mahama convinced the military regime in Burkina Faso to release more than 25 truckloads of maize and other cereal products, imports in the country seized in the wake of a blockade by Burkina authorities.
I think that we'll have to take it from there because the visit of President Mahama has raised the trust between Ghana and these countries. And I think that in that perspective, Ghana has a big role to play.
Well, stay with us as we bring you excerpt of an exclusive with Ghana's special envoy to the Alliance of Sahel States, Larry Bevo Latte. And former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapaah takes the witness stand for the first time, revealing her domestic workers stole over $761,000 in cash from her storage room. Let's begin from the budget because Finance Minister Dr. Cecilia Dapaah has formally announced the abolishment of a raft of taxes, including the controversial electronic transaction e-levy, betting tax and emissions levy.
Dr. Cecilia Dapaah insists no new taxes will be introduced in place of these taxes, but a rationalization of the existing tax refund system will plunge the holes the cancellation of the taxes will bring about. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Asante reports.
The much-anticipated first budget of John Dramani Mahama has been presented to Parliament. The Finance Minister, Dr. Cecilia Dapaah, had the authority of the President to deliver the first budget of his second term following that decisive victory in 2024. Dr. Cecilia Dapaah started by painting a picture of the economy that the NDC inherited from the NPP.
Mr. Speaker, hands on heart, we inherited an economy in deep crisis. Mr. Speaker, an economy hard hit with debt and beset by other fiscal challenges, such as large accumulation of MDRS, energy sector, shortfalls, and financial sector payments.
He went on to provide some updates in terms of what exactly the government is doing to turn things around.
Rationalizing government expenditure and eliminating wasteful expenditures. Optimizing domestic revenue mobilization through broadening of tax base, increased non-tax revenue collection, adopting enhanced tax compliance measures, and modernizing the tax administration through digital technology. Mr. Speaker, we will also increase the share of domestic expenditure to spur economic growth and job creation.
Then came the big news. Dr. Cecilia Dapaah has abolished a number of taxes, including the controversial e-levy and the betting tax.
Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on betting. We will abolish the electronic transfer levy, e-levy of 1%. We will abolish the emission levy, otherwise as in Wusie tax. We will abolish the VAT on motor vehicle insurance policy. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 1.5% withholding tax on unprocessed gold by small-scale miners. Mr. Speaker, the removal of these taxes will ease the burden on households.
Dr. Cecilia Dapaah says the government has what it takes to plug the hole that will be created by the abolishment of these taxes.
Government will work with the stakeholders, including the private sector, to roll out a technology-driven solution to reintroduce road tolls this year as part of the big push. Right, Honorable Speaker, we will also strengthen the legal and regulatory regime for non-tax revenue and enforce the framework to improve service delivery. This will be achieved through the introduction of an overarching non-tax revenue legislation, amendment of existing relevant laws, and the development of a national non-tax revenue strategy and policy. The Speaker, as part of the reforms to improve other non-tax revenue streams, government will explore the operationalization of a regulatory framework for collection, management, and reporting of property rates consistent with our medium-term revenue strategy 2024 to 2027.
Dr. Cecilia Dapaah proceeds to announce a number of interventions and funding in the 2025 budget.
We will provide a cedi equivalent of $279 million as a revolving fund for the Ghana Gold Board to be able to purchase and export at least 3 tons of gold per week from small-scale miners. An amount of 499.8 million Ghana cedis has been allocated for the non-academic fee policy for all first-year students in public tertiary institutions under the No Fee Stress initiative. We have allocated an amount of 292.4 million Ghana cedis to commence the distribution of free sanitary pads to female students in primary and secondary schools. The overarching concern about free secondary education has been its quality and the absence of dedicated sources of financing. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has resolved it. Mr. Speaker, let me take this again. The overarching concern about free secondary education has been its quality and the absence of a dedicated sources of funding. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has resolved the funding challenges by uncapping the GET fund.
In the coming days, Parliament will consider the estimates of the various ministries, departments, and agencies. The various committees of Parliament will handle all those estimates and present report to the House. It will be done side-by-side, a debate or commenting on the Finance Minister's budget presentation, which will ultimately culminate in the passage of the Appropriation Act that will lead to the total passage of the 2025 budget. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, immediately after that budget presentation, the minority held a press conference, and the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, described the budget as an, quote, Azan budget.
Mr. Speaker, this afternoon, we have been presented with part 2 of the lamentation series. The part 1, Mr. Speaker, the part 1 was Mahamanomics. The part 2 is Forcenomics. And it's very clear, Mr. Speaker, that under the economy that they complain about, the growth was 5.7%. And under the reset economy, the growth is rather going down.
Minority Leader there, Alexander Fayomake, making that comment in the Chamber of Parliament.
Exactly. But his colleague, the Majority Leader Mahama Yariga, fired back. He says today's presentation was filled with hope and will inspire the growth of Ghana's economy and lift the poor out of poverty.
Mr. Speaker, this clearly is a budget of a government and a party that keeps its promises. Almost every promise that was made by John Dramani Mahama is being fulfilled in less than 120 days. This budget is a budget for Makola women. This budget is a budget for assemblymen. This budget is a budget for girls. Because the second part is for the female students. That's why I said girls. Mr. Speaker, this is a budget for school children. They will now get the set of textbooks that they need to study. And peace of mind. Mr. Speaker, this is a budget that delivers solid reforms. And this is a budget that is moving our growth from Galamsey growth to real growth.
Well, the Finance Minister, Dr. Cecilia Dapaah, has been outlining some financial allocations for various sectors and initiatives that would focus on education, infrastructure, social protection, and disaster relief. In all, 19 different allocations were made. And my colleague Kofi J joins me in the studio with a breakdown of some of these key allocations. Kofi, let's start with the key allocations they are making and how much government will be spending.
First, it's interesting to see how we are moving from the Nkunim budget of 2024 to a new budget. This is the first set of the reset budget that maybe we'll be seeing in the next 4 years.
Okay.
But we have been tracking 24 key allocations made by the finance minister. He's been speaking about tax cuts, but also making huge promises for this year particularly. First, let's start with the gold board, which has become that big topic. How much is going into it? Almost 280 million Ghana cedis. If you do the math, it's in excess of 1 billion Ghana cedis going as seed money to the gold board to start commencing its operations. Now, we are talking about the Big Push program. This year, it is going to enjoy close to 14 billion Ghana cedis in 2025. Now, the no academic fee policy, he made mention of that. Close to 500 million Ghana cedis is being allocated to this, a program, the sanitary pad program, which the majority leader said this is a budget for girls. I mean,
yes, I'm really happy about this one, though.
Yeah, you have the sanitary pad initiative, and then also the Women's Bank also featuring heavily in that budget. Akosombo Dam spillage victims weren't left out in this year's budget. They are expected to enjoy some 242.5 million Ghana cedis in allocation. Mind you, these are allocations. Usually the problem has to do with the budget credibility. What you budgeted for versus the disbursement. Right. So let's see how disbursement will also go. Tidal wave, remember that the president tasked the finance minister to factor them in the 2025 budget. He's allocating to them some 200 million Ghana cedis as allocation. 3.5 billion Ghana cedis is what is being allocated to the free SHS program. And they have insisted that they are not going to cancel the free senior high school program. They are rather increasing the budgetary allocation which of course, if you do the math, the average has been 2.5 billion Ghana cedis every year.
There's an increase.
There's an increase, 3.5 billion cedis for 2025. Textbooks also going to enjoy some sort of disbursement and allocation. School feeding program. Already we know the amount per head has been increased to some 2 cedis per head. Now, the total allocation for this year is roughly close to 2 billion Ghana cedis for 2025, and then also the capitation grant of 145 million. If you can go on and on and on, teacher training allowances will not be scrapped. Allocation is 203 million. Also, nursing training allowances also in the 480 million. Maybe that's why some people will say this is actually a populist budget, and whatever the government promised, they have delivered. But in terms of the NHIS, decoupling the NHIS, that's about 9.93 billion. What we are estimating is that if government is able to make the GET Fund and NHIL free and set up for the purposes that they were actually introduced, they could be getting some 20 billion Ghana cedis in terms of revenue. In fact, if you add all of them, then we are talking about a total of some 50, almost close to 54 billion Ghana cedis. It's a lot, 24 of them.
All the allocation.
But if you add all of them, the finance minister actually made promises of allocations worth 54 billion Ghana cedis. This is a big, amount, and it will be interesting to see how he is going to do the allocation.
I am actually interested in how government plans to actually get the money in the first place.
Right.
Because I recall they painted a green picture about the economy. We're sinking in debt, according to them. And so how then will you get this money to finance some of the key projects? And that brings me to my next question, really. Some of the key taxes they are scrapping. Tell me about that.
So, I mean, e-levy is gone. I mean, currently there are still proposals. Once Parliament accepts everything will be gone. E-levy, COVID-19, if you are watching us, also the betting tax is gone, as well as Ato Forsen will say the Nwusie budget is also gone. They are saying that, I mean, that could, it will impose certain financial restrictions on the country, but they are looking at the tax refund account, which they say if you really tackle it well, there is some sort of money there, about 3.8 billion Ghana cedis that government could use to offset the kind of financing gap that has been created by the scrapping of this.
Thank you so much, Kofi J. He's with our research desk, and he's been bringing out details of some of the allocations made by the finance minister in the budget there.
Well, some Ghanaians have also been reacting to the budget, particularly the scrapping of the betting tax. Let's listen to them.
Actually, we have a second independent Ghana for so many years. Assembly members omunya pay, but budget we are say assembly members after assembly members ka. And betting tax and e-levy COVID tax in Yamana ya yini nyina fio afina Ghana ya babe di or Ghana say and 24-hour economy na mama dia ba no me sure say ebeboa youth for nyina mama wa ya dia pa Yankopon shira no.
The e-levy they have removed. For that I'm 100% with them that they have removed the e-levy. The taxes on our importing goods, that's the duties and the tax actually. I've not heard anything serious about that. And that one is helping the nation a lot, because if that tax still remains the same, we will push the final cost that we will bear to the final consumer, and the final consumers too will suffer more than us.
Me ade ba ko we ye free we me dey sa COVID tax no. Sa COVID tax no dey we ye free wo dey. Ene sa e-levy no. By betting tax no dey. At least na so ni ko te so.
Ebe mu na wo be ko.
Madam. Oh, unim scan crofonya wo bet mu.
Oh, it's a good news for Ghanaians, simply because all young men have been betting, even the older people have been betting, due to the hardships we are facing at the moment. So it's a good news for us. Those 10% being removed from the tax that you win has been costing us a lot due to the hardships.
When last did you win?
Oh, I won about 2 months ago.
It's like how much?
It's about 5,000.
Wow. So you had to pay government 10% of the 5.
Yeah. Which is costing us a lot. So this time, most people have not been betting. So once the government has announced that, the present NDC government has announced that he has removed the tax, it's a good news to young men.
I mean, we say because first, you travel to no one here, intina, impo kakrebenyano, it me in a paper. I see, I say, your coins have been put as a baby free sport to only 10% free intinema, it me for baby uncle, a bet accounts to me in cabindi. Is a bet no, it me can say first, no, and it is all my free.
So he's very excited. He says that previously, because of the betting tax, they end up spending very little money on stakes because government would then have to take out 10%. But now they're very excited that government have announced they are scrapping the betting tax.
Well, it's a good time to bring in a tax consultant, Francis Timoboy, as well as Chief Economist at Policy Initiative for Economic Development, Dr. Daniel Enim. Let me start with you, Timoboy. Government has actually cut some taxes, e-levy and all of those things, yet has introduced about 50 billion cedis allocations. There's a huge gap. How should government address this?
So if you look at the tax that has been scrapped, they have made it clear that they're going to get it from the tax refund account. The two taxes put together, I think the minister estimated that they are just close to 2 billion cedis. If you look at the Revenue Administration Act, it's provided under Section 68 and 69 that whatever tax revenue we collect, we should set 6% aside for payment of people who might have overpaid their taxes due to errors or overestimation.
Right.
In the past, you realize that we don't pay much to people, and so there's accumulation of money in that account. And that's what the minister is saying, that if they reduce it from 6% to 4%, straight away they will be able to save close to 3.8 billion cedis, which will come to government coffers. Now, that is even more than the e-levy and then the betting tax put together. So I think that together with the VAT reforms, which he said that they are in consultation with the IMF, again, I am looking more revenue to come from that VAT reform. If they're able to put those together, I think that they should be able to manage the fiscal affairs of the country.
Right. Concerned groups like GUTA and co have been calling for the expansion of the tax net. Did you see that in this budget?
Yes. If you look at, he said that they want to modernize tax administration and go after non-compliance taxpayers. So I think that it is something that will be done administratively. Some of these things does not require, amendment or passage of a tax law. We have the taxes existing. What we need to do is to be more aggressive in terms of the compliance, and he demonstrated that they are going to pursue that. If they do that after the VAT reform, and of course the IMF is assisting them in terms of the technical visibility, if they're able to do this, I think that we should be able to raise more. Already the GRA is saying that they are targeting close to 210 billion Ghana cedis, which is about 31% jump from what they were able to do in 2024. So right. All things being equal, we should be able to improve upon our revenue performance, especially the VAT reform that they want to pursue.
Right, before I let you go, your overall assessment of the budget itself?
I think it's a cool budget. We didn't see much of taxes being introduced, even though we have been promised that they are going to go after the growth and sustainability levy, which we know is already there. The minister said during the National Economic Dialogue that they need to get more from the rents that we get from the mineral resources. So they are going to get additional 2% on their production. The VAT reforms, I believe, is going to be a reform of the existing ones. So overall, it looks good. We wait to see the mid-year when the reality sets in. But I think that it looks good for business.
Right. Thank you so much, Timo Boy, for speaking to us here on Joy News Prime.
Well, Carlos, let me bring in Daniel Enim, his chief economist at Policy Initiative for Economic Development. Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News Prime. I just want to get your initial assessment of the budget presentation today. We've been hearing from government table out some of the key taxes they plan to abolish, but also they've also been stating the different allocations they would be making to different sectors of the economy, 19 of them. How do they plan to bridge the gap is a question we've been asking. Did you get that answer today?
Thank you very much. My initial remark would be that, it is actually linked to the President's State of the Nation's address. Right after his address, I indicated that the economy is not in crisis, but it's an economy that is recovering. The budget has justified my assertion. Why am I saying so? If an economy which is in crisis, what it means is that you'll not be able to have the resources to roll out the kind of interventions that the minister seeks to do. So that's the first thing. Okay. But taking into consideration some of the things that he has indicated, as much as they fulfill political promise of scrapping e-levy, the betting tax, etc., and almost everybody is happy. I think cleverly they, pass through what I would describe as the back door so that they could get resources. If you look at it, they have indicated that they are going to transfer about 80% of the MIF royalties, mineral royalties, to the consolidated fund. And that's going to be extra revenue because that money is supposed to help the mineral MIF to be able to build their capacity and expand their activities. Same also for GMPC. Their 30% allocation of the oil revenue, they're going to reduce it to 15%. And that amount will also hit the consolidated fund, beefing up the consolidated BAF, where the minister will be able to have the access to all these resources. So you'll see the clever, mechanism or approach. Okay, because my assertion has been that said taxes shouldn't be scrapped, even though I'm not a tax expert. But my view is that you must tread cautiously because you are yet to understand the full revenue stream of government. Okay, and you must be able to take advantage of existing tax system within your first year in office. Then you'll be able to ascertain or analyze the realities on the ground, and then in your subsequent budget, you will be in a better position to project. But of course, in the wisdom of the finance minister and His Excellency the President, they were of the view that they need to immediately fulfill these political promises. But the other issue which is worth considering, in my view, and I think some of the social intervention that they have outlined is quite progressive, and we only hope that they will be able to execute that. We have seen it over the years where some of these allocations were stated in the budget, but in terms of the implementation, one of the things that they have indicated, the establishment of the Women Bank and then the seed money, which is also, in fact, my position is that we don't need to even establish a Women Bank for now. My position is that if we have such a seed money, it should be given to the development bank or the seed bank as a unit. Okay, because one of the things I have realized is that we like duplication of institutions, creating more institutions, not be able to support them to be able to perform their functions. So our joy is always that, we have created A, B, C, D. But because they lack the financial capacity to be able to address their intended objects or objectives, they are unable to perform very well. So my view is that it's not a matter of establishing Women Bank. We have a development bank, and then even the SME bank. As part of their function, they are supposed to support SMEs and people who add value.
Thank you so much, Mr. Enim. Point noted. Now, there is hope on the horizon for residents of coastal communities in Ketu South devastated by sea erosion. The finance minister today, Dr. Cecilia Dapaah, announced a 200 million Ghana cedi allocation to support affected victims.
Well, before we hear from the minister, coastal erosion continues to ravage Ghana's southeastern shoreline. Once thriving settlements like Fuveme and Kpokpogbo are now lost to the sea, leaving residents desperate for urgent government intervention. My colleague Ivy Setoji reports.
Once thriving coastal communities in the Angoga municipality, Fuveme and Kpokpogbo have been completely consumed by the sea. These towns, once home to families, farmers, and fisher folks now exist only in memory. But the devastation has not stopped. Agokeji, the relocation site for the displaced residents, is also rapidly sinking.
We are suffering from devastation or sea erosion. First, the community we are saying is Fuverman, but the woman is no more. It has gone. So we are now at Agokeji, and the distance from the sea to the community Agokeji, where we are now, is left about 200 meters. So if nothing could be done by construction sea defense to protect the coastal, this community to Fuverman Agokeji will go.
Noble Waja is coordinator for the Coastal CSOs Forum, has been speaking with Joy News.
The emerging challenges in that part of the country is getting or has reached an alarming proportion, for which there is the need for some immediate response. And I think WACA has been launched already, and the process for implementing agencies, government agencies to restore hope to the coastal erosion challenges are ongoing.
We can now hear from the finance minister announcing the 200 million Ghana cedis support package for affected communities.
We have allocated again an amount of 242.5 million Ghana cedis to support the victim of Akosombo Dam spillage. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have also allocated an amount of 200 million Ghana cedis to support the victim of tidal wave disaster that recently displaced residents in certain parts of K2 South constituency.
Well, you're still watching Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Galoni, and
Faustina Safa. We'll be back after this quick turn.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, Ghana's special envoy to the Alliance for Sahel States, Larry Gbevlo-Latte, has confirmed exclusively to Joy News that President John Dramani Mahama has settled the disruptions caused by the export ban on grains and cereals by the military regime in Burkina Faso. As a sign of commitment, the Burkinabe authorities have agreed to release 23 trucks of maize, which were earlier seized as part of the blockade, as more truckloads of other cereals destined for Ghana will be released in the coming days.
Well, concerns are rife, really, that Ghana, a significant importer of cereals from its northern neighbors, could face shortfall and short-term supply disruptions and potential price hikes in local markets as a result of the ban. However, President John Dramani Mahama, during his tour of the region, has been highlighting how this will be dealt with. Larry Gbevlo-Latte is confident that the trust between Ghana and its neighbors has increased. He's been speaking to my colleague Blessed Suga on Connect Africa.
Well, it's good that the engagement has started. Yes, they felt that there was quite some mistrust. And I think that we'll have to take it from there, because the visit of President Mahama has raised the trust between Ghana and these countries. And I think that in that perspective, Ghana has a big role to play. There were certain things, that were said there which I might not want to refer to, but we give the impression that, they are very happy that they have at least one president that they can trust.
And that's why many believe that President John Dramani Mahama should now serve as the bridge between the Sahelian states and ECOWAS, and possibly explore bringing these countries back into ECOWAS. Is that far-fetched to achieve?
Let's see how engagement can, shape that. Because as we engage, as we address the grievances that made them leave ECOWAS, if we are able to surmount those grievances, why not? But we have to remember that These countries have made their sovereign decision to leave ECOWAS, and there is no other country that can compel them. You know, we can only discuss the issues and find common ground, you know, which might facilitate, you know, some arrangement by way of coming back or negotiating or a certain relationship. But nobody, in my thinking, nobody is able to compel them after they have made a sovereign decision that they are leaving ECOWAS, that they must come to ECOWAS based on this and that condition.
Well, away from the class action on ECOWAS, we have a country to protect as well. Our interests should also be paramount.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm concerned about what's happening up north, our borders. Terrorism is on the rise. We have socio-economic issues. I want us to split these issues up. Let's start off with food security. Burkina Faso took a decision to ban exports of some grains out of their region for now. Did that come up in the discussions? How are we going to ensure that we still keep that corridor running? Because we need those food producers coming from the north.
Yes. You know, self-preservation is where it all starts. And therefore, like President Mahama said, you know, he was looking at the bilateral relations. And this was the issue of food security was discussed. And I think that has been resolved. You know, there is a common understanding, you know, to ensure the free flow of persons and, you know, goods and services. So I think
so those differences have been ironed out. I think that
President Mahama has, you know, effectively ironed that.
Now let's take you to the court now, because former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Dapaah has told an Accra High Court that her domestic workers stole a total of $410,000, 300,000 euros and 350,000 cedis from a storage room over time.
Husband of the former minister in May last year told the same court that he and his wife started storing money in their storage room some 20 years ago. The former minister, who was testifying in court for the first time, said police investigators had told her that her stolen monies had been distributed to different persons at different locations. First of all, she told the court that when the first incident happened, she reported it to the police. At the time she lodged that complaint at the police station, she was still serving as minister in charge of sanitation, and subsequently the theft continued, and then she yet again reported the matter to the police again. It was on the second report, if you like, that escalated the matter, which is now here at the court. Madam Cecilia Dapaah told the court that the accused persons stole 12 of my neck chains valued at $24,000 US. Again, the accused persons, according to Madam Cecilia Dapaah, stole my gold bangles valued at $14,000. Again, Madam Cecilia Dapaah told the court that the accused persons, quote, stole my gold earrings valued at $15,000 United States dollars. The accused persons, according to Madam Cecilia Dapaah, stole 300,000 euros of her hard-earned cash, 300,000 euros. Madam Dapaah also told the court that they stole 200,000 United States dollars from her. In a separate incident, they stole 210,000 United States dollars. And then there was also the Ghana cedis. That was 300,000 Ghana cedis, and then 50,000 Ghana cedis. These are the valuables that Madam Cecilia Dapaah has told the court today that these suspects stole from their home at here in Accra. From the High Court complex, this is Latif Idris reporting for Joy News.
Well, firstly, how much of euros and dollars do you have in your storage?
All I can see is that God will provide.
Definitely.
Because it appears I don't even have a storage in the first place.
Anyway.
Interesting.
Well, moving on, a new research has revealed that climate change is driving a wave of migration from northern Ghana to the south, with harsh weather conditions making farming increasingly unattractive. Development in the region is slowing down.
Well, this revelation came to light during the graduation ceremony of 18 Ghanaian students under the Resilience Against Climate Change Social Transformation Research and Policy Advocacy Projects. Mavi Sefa-Kote has more in the following report.
A new study has revealed that nearly 3 million people could migrate from northern Ghana to the south due to harsh effect of climate change. Researchers warn that this mass movement could have serious socioeconomic implications for both rural and urban areas. David Kwe, a researcher and beneficiary of the EU Rich STR project, highlights the urgency of the situation.
A degree in temperature increase, which is estimated to be, well, looking at current emission scenario, by 2050, average temperatures could reach about 1 degree higher, and that would correspond to about 2.6 million people migrating from northern Ghana. So these figures are very alarming, and we need to take them out to policymakers, because what it means is that there's going to be impact in urban centers, and as well as orange sap as one of the crops that is very resistant to climate variation. So we need to look at cultivating, maize more, be able to stabilize the migration process during, this period.
The Deputy Country Director of the International Water Management Institute, Dr. Berhanu Zemadin, says the findings will help stakeholders design targeted interventions to curb rural-urban migration.
Beyond celebrating these academic achievements, today also offers us an opportunity for dialogue, a space where we can engage with stakeholders to explore the implications of the students' research findings. We will discuss how these insights can influence policies, development strategies, and future research efforts. With the research and discuss future actions, I encourage all of us to continue working together, building on this momentum and fostering collaboration, innovation, and policy change that will drive climate resilience now and in the years to come.
At the event, head of cooperation at the EU delegation to Ghana, Massimo Mina, stressed the EU-Ghana partnership is committed to tracking climate change and driving.
Well, it's time for Showbiz. When it gets to this moment, I struggle to find the words to introduce Becky Bex, but she's in studio.
Okay, that sounds good. I give it to you.
Okay,
How you doing? Good. Oh, thank you. Your shirt looks really nice.
Thank you.
Well, because we don't have a lot of time. Oh, I look nice. Look at me. Thank you for joining us here on Joy News Prime. The first story, Ghanaian artist Beats Trap has expressed optimism in his chances of winning the New Artist of the Year in the upcoming Telecel Ghana Music Awards. In an interview on Daybreak 8 this morning, when asked if he saw himself winning the Artist of the Year, the New Artist of the Year, he responded in the affirmative. Wish him all the best. But let's talk about Afro Harmony, because the band has opened up about the challenges they face post-COVID-19. According to the band, DJs had more gigs in the past, which led to a decline in the demand for live bands. Speaking on E-Vibes Musical Band Series, the deputy leader of the band, Mark Hamlet, shared that things have now evolved and people are increasingly opting for live bands again.
Talking about external challenges, that would be like declining of bands, let's say from COVID time. It wasn't easy for bands,
right.
But right now it's evolving. So most of the companies want to involve bands in their restaurants, clubs, most events. But first, it was more of the DJ kind of, and it was declining for bands. So for now, it's rising.
So would you say that there's like a competition between bands and DJs?
Yeah. There's that strong competition, but I feel like those who like the band
They
go for the
for
band. Yes. And now there's even that switch, like we joining to play with a DJ.
DJs.
So it's more like a collaboration. After COVID, I think the need for band was declining a bit because of there's no money.
Right.
Yeah, but it got to a point the DJs were taking all the gigs. But for some time now, I can see that
Be all for
Showbiz.
Showbiz this evening. I guess that'll be.
What are we expecting tomorrow in Showbiz?
Probably have something, a karaoke or yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot happening in the entertainment industry, and so we'll bring you a lot more stories.
Okay, something African because it's the
month of Heritage Month, of course. Yeah, tomorrow we'll probably be talking about the meaning of our names, so you should get ready. We'll put that on. We'll read your social media comments as well, so let us know the meaning of your surname, or just the meaning of your name. So like, for instance, your name, Carlos.
Lolonyo.
Why are you? Well, we don't know the Lolonyo.
Okay,
so
you know the Lolonyo, right?
I know the Lolonyo, but I mean the Kaloni and Carlos.
I'll tell you tomorrow.
Yeah, you should tell me tomorrow.
Right. Thank you so much for watching. You can log on to myjoyonline.com for more stories. Good evening.